Voting has started. Okay then, thanks for that, Ian. Well, thank you to those that are here, and let's get started. Apologies for absence, please.
I haven't had any apologies, Chair.
Dear. Declarations of interest. Not on any committee.
No, not any committee.
Declaration of interest, none. I'm sure you've all read it, the minutes of the previous meeting. They were just short and succinct. Everyone happy with those? Yeah. For outstanding actions, please, Ian.
Yes, there's not many. The first one is number 5, which relates to the feasibility of installing a basketball facilities at Underhill. That's been allocated to Clark. I haven't received any updates, and I don't think anybody's received any updates. So I don't.
Yeah, it is with the Clark.
Yes.
I can't remember who proposed it. It was the basketball fans, I suppose, on council.
Are you happy to defer that to January?
We'll defer it, yes, and then
Thank you.
I'll have a word with Carrie.
There's slightly out of sequence, but 2 agenda items, number 29 and 31, relate to exercise equipment, and they are subject to agenda item number 7.
We'll cover that after.
And the last one is for Councillor Thomas in relation to installing exercise equipment at Underhill Park. Would you like to give
Still waiting on a quote.
Yeah, we'll defer that.
To January, and that concludes. The others are all completed.
Well, I think we need to bring you in, Paul.
Hello, Pam.
Budget monitoring reports first, and then we'll do the budget 25-26.
Can I
Okay,
apologise?
Thank you.
Can I apologise? I wasn't sent an email or an invite to this meeting, and it's not on my calendar. I've had to go via Carrie and Kerry to get into this meeting, so I am sorry.
It came out. It was on an email from Ian.
I'm sure you're on the
I'll give you the date of it if you wish.
Well, I don't have it. And other people have looked, and apparently I'm not on the list. Anyway, I am apologising for being late, and here I am.
That's okay. I do. Okay, Paul.
Okay, I'm just sharing the screen at the moment so you can see what we're talking about.
Yes,
Okay, can you see that?
I can see that. Can we get rid of that thing, Ian?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. The only one I spoke to you, I mentioned it earlier, is the overspend on the family fun day, the £105. So we'll need to watch that because it does stand out that we'll have
Yeah,
to cut back on the chips, I think.
Sorry, Chair. Yeah, it's only a small amount, and I think it's not something that's going to increase because obviously the fund days were back in August, so this, all costs should have gone through for it.
Yeah.
There is one other.
Sorry to interrupt. It's a bit, the £5,000 was there in the budget, but of course we also had a grant of, I think, £2,800.
That's right. Yeah.
So, surely there's enough money there altogether that we don't have to, even if it is a small amount going over. So anyway,
she's in. Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, there is one other which I'll mention, which is going to overspend, although it's not showing up at the moment, and that's the Club Spark gates at Langland Tennis Courts. There's a £500 budget. We spent 185 so far, which is for a repair to the gate, which took place earlier in the summer. We've also now, although it's not appearing on this report because we didn't pay the invoice till October, we paid £551, which is the maintenance agreement, the maintenance contract for the gate. So if adding that together with what's been spent on the repair, it's likely to be about £230 overspent, which will show up next month. So ideally, what we will be looking for, or committee should be looking for, is viament from other budgets to offset it. But looking at your budget, really, a lot of them are fairly fixed costs. They're not things which are going to underspend.
Yes. Just as a matter of interest, the maintenance contract, what does it actually cover?
It covers the gate itself, the smart access gate. So the electronic part of the gate.
Okay. So if the gate was subject to willful damage, that wouldn't be covered under the maintenance contract then?
No, I wouldn't be.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Okay, and a lot of the other things that will be coming out by certainly by the year end as well. So I think, although you're right to identify that overspend, I think generally the committee isn't doing too badly with its expenditure to date. Good.
Anyway, do you want to go through the income and the expenditure?
Probably not. I don't think there's not a great deal of.
I've had a look. Anyway, there's nothing there.
Okay.
Stands out.
Okay, so, yeah.
So the budget.
Sorry, yeah, go on, Chair.
Budget monitoring, the budget setting spreadsheet. Can we have that?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think the recommendation for the budget monitoring is just to approve the budget monitoring to the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do we all approve that? I'll take a vote on that. Yes, we approve that.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. I'll share the budget spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Apologies, not working.
Okay. Well, we won't scutter about it waiting.
Should be working out.
Oh, here you are.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Okay, if I just briefly go through the spreadsheet, what we've got there is a number of columns, one showing the actual expenditure for last year, the original budget the council set back in January for this year, a revised budget based on what we think outturn is going to be now by the end of March, and then the final column then of figures is the draft budget for next year, and that's the column that we're looking to complete today to recommend an amount of the budget to council in January. What I've done is I've started putting some things in, but obviously it's up to the committee to agree that they can amend them if you wish, but some of them are contractual, so it may cause a problem if they're not included. If I go through it line by line, then the first one is the Underhill Park grant. This is the maintenance grant of 15,000. What I've done is I've assumed that it's not going to be paid in the current year, 2024-25, because we haven't had any claims yet, and I suspect we may not by the end of March. So I've included in next year's budget, but I've brought that 15,000 forward from the current year's budget. So if I go further down, there's Underhill Park grant minus 15,000. So in effect, what we're doing is we're carrying it forward. So it's not a call on this year's budget. It's being funded from the underspend that I'm assuming is going to be in the current year.
Okay. Will's got a question, Paul.
Yep.
Hi, Paul. When you say you carried it forward, of course, we're contractually obliged to have it for 5 years anyway, aren't we? So I think
3, is it? But yes, we are. We are. It's only more than 1 year.
yeah, 3 of 5 years. I think it is, isn't it? They can call it 3 times at any 3 times in any.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So I think it's obviously, although it's being put forward, it has to be put forward, doesn't it, in the next year's budget anyway? So
Well, yeah, it will be. It will be included at certainly the further 2. If this is paid in next year's budget, then we will need to budget for the other 2 in future years.
thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Chair?
Oh, Pam?
I'm sorry, Paul, is this the 15,000 that we said we would pay if they didn't make enough money themselves to pay us, and we'll back them up with £15,000? Is that it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, so before we pay any £15,000, do we have access to their accounts so we can see what's been spent with?
Yeah, they've got to provide us with the accounts to show that they have not covered their costs. They've made a loss, and it's up to 15,000. So if the loss is lower than 15,000, then it would be a lower figure that we would pay.
But we don't pay it until we've seen their accounts. And if they don't produce their accounts, they don't get any money.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Paul.
Just to confirm, Pam, we're not paying them this year because they haven't called on it either.
That's fine. I wasn't clear about it, Will. I just wanted to be clear in my own head with it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, if you go on to the next item, and that's the skate park. What's included in the current year is for the final release of retention for the contract, which happened early in the year. So I wouldn't expect there to be any further costs for the skate park unless anybody's aware of anything that needs to be spent. The running costs are the next, but are further down in the budget, so they would be covered if there's by that. So it's I suppose any capital expenditure, I guess, which so early in the scheme shouldn't occur. So I would suggest that should be nil.
We're not expecting there to be any kind of expense for that from that aspect at all.
Okay. Right. Sinking fund.
Langland tennis courts.
Yeah, Langland tennis courts. Similarly, that's something that's been completed a while ago now, so there shouldn't be any costs on that. So I would also suggest that maybe that should be nil.
Yeah.
Skate park running costs. This is for the grass cutting, insurance, annual inspection. There's a number of things which make it up. In the current year is 7,000. So what I've done for next year is added 5% inflation for that. So that I think that's probably reasonable, unless whether anybody's happy with that figure of 7,400 for next year.
Yeah, if that's what you advise.
Well,
yeah, Paul, just going back onto Langland tennis courts, is scanning over that, I can't see the maintenance, the tennis wheels.
Yeah, that's lower down. We'll be coming to that one.
Okay, super. Thanks. Sorry.
Okay, the next one is the sinking fund for the skate park. So that'll remain the same because it's based on 2% of the contract value. So it'll remain as 8,800 every year. Underhill loan repayment, again, that'll stay the same because it's a fixed annual payment.
How many more years of that do we have, Paul?
This is the 3rd year, so another 12.
Okay.
well,
Yeah, Paul, the sinking funds for things like the skate park and other things that we do. Is there any point where we get to a figure where we're like, well, that's a reasonable amount in the pot, or do we just keep going because of inflation and sort of have that money in a separate account?
It's up to committee and council to decide on that. Yeah, like I guess there could be a situation where if you put in 8,000, 9,000 away every year for the skate park, you could get to a figure where you may decide that's enough. But I don't think we're there yet. But I say maybe in 10 years' time, you could have 90,000.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Amazing. Thank you.
Okay, the next one, which I haven't put anything in, is road safety. We haven't budgeted anything there for the last couple of years, so whether there's a desire to put anything in next year.
no.
Um,
I remember, I'm sorry, Chair, I remember last year we debated it and came to that inclusion. I know we had a long debate about it with pros and cons last year.
had some drop curbs done at Victoria Avenue, Stanley Street, didn't we?
Yes, in the Swansea Council. That was,
Yeah. You probably responsible for that, were you?
Yeah, was responsible for everything.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. In case I omitted to tell you before. I don't think we'll put anything in. We'll just rely on City, I think. Right, family fun days then.
Okay, family fun days. I'm assuming that the committee will want to go ahead with that again next year and put something in. And I'd suggest probably an inflation should be increased by inflation. 5% would be 5,250, or maybe 5,500.
5,250 sounds good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was quite flabbergasted in the budget figures. There was about over £3,000 spent on fish and chips. You know, it's just not the right place, is it? Right place. You know, I think we could provide something that's, shall we say, less expensive.
That was
Who provided fish and chips? Who provided fish and chips?
Nellie May. It's all in your pack.
I know, I've just forgotten for the moment.
I do agree.
Yeah, it's the meals that's provided at the end of each fun day. In the past, they've given like sandwiches and things like that out. But this year it was decided to go for fish and chips using the grant that was received and provided by Nellie May.
Yeah.
Even the sandwiches though, they were very expensive.
Yeah.
Expensive.
And then we had the jam sandwiches from Red Cafe, was it? Or no? Was it them? Yeah. They were very expensive as well. So I do think that we should. It's not for us to micromanage it. It's for whoever decides to do it. But I do think that we should look at the food at these. If it's needed at all. Because we
It
can do
wasn't jam sandwiches from the Red Cafe. It was cheese and a big protein sandwich.
The Newton one definitely had jam sandwiches because I took about 10.
We get those. We get those for children who are allergic to all sorts of things, and a jam sandwich is a safe option for most of the children who can't eat the rest of the stuff. That not everybody has them. It's there as an emergency for children who are allergic to whatever's in the sandwich itself, ham or cheese.
Well, personally, I'm not in favour of increasing the budget.
By inflation, yes, but not by any more than that. 250 is plenty.
I'm happy to go with the 5,000 Ian if you are, and they can trim it to that because
I think we could. They're doing well with the 5,000 plus the 2,800 from City. Gosh, we're talking nearly £8,000.
Didn't you say there was an underspend of 100 and something?
Sorry?
Is that what we have an overspend on?
Overspend.
Overspend.
I think we can trim the food, so I'd say 5,000 is enough as well. So I agree with Ian there. I do think the food is too expensive, so splitting hairs. So if you're
yes, I don't think it would. It may not go unnoticed, but it's not going to make a difference. Anyway, these things, Paul, will be ratified at full council. So this is just.
Yeah, well, do you want to change? Shall I put it back in as 5,000 then?
Yes, please. And then we can raise the matter at full council.
Okay. Next item then is the basketball court at Langland. Probably, I don't think there's any reason for any expenditure on that. Bowls Club.
Hi, Paul. Sorry, just in case someone's watching this back, could you give us an update on the basketball surface and fencing?
Fencing. We've agreed the supplier. The supplier can also do the surface, but if we want a porous surface, we're going to need to apply for SUDS. So I'm in discussions with our contractor to see how we move forward on that.
Okay, so it's,
That could prove to be rather expensive.
It could be. I haven't got any figures at the moment though.
so have you got any timescales? Because
They are hoping to complete this financial year.
right, okay, it is just so we are aware, the surface is it's not great. I better not say any more on that.
That court, is it permeable, that one, or is it just a asphalt? Because the tennis courts they absorb a certain bit of the water, don't they? 1 and 2. No?
We've never had that court resurfaced.
Yeah, it's not continuing surface. I don't know if I think it's just old tarmac. Don't think,
No,
I don't think they had permeable tarmac when that was laid.
there is such a thing. So
Yeah, it's fairly new though, isn't it? Like 20 years. Last 20 years, right?
So they just over.
I think what Paul's saying is if we just stick tarmac down on top of it, that's fine. But if we want a permeable one and change it, then we have to have a planning application. So which sounds more expensive as well, to be honest. So I'd say just put it down, because it's only going to run into the flower bed and down to the sea. It's not like it's in a place which is going to cause any issues with flooding, in my opinion.
Beach huts.
Well, the beach huts are raised, so it shouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. It's worth talking about it.
Okay, so Bowls, what I've done with Bowls, I've assumed that it's not going to be spent this year because we're still waiting on the asset transfer. So we should put the 5,000 in for next year, and then looking down, what I've done again then is carry that amount forward from this budget into next year's budget.
Yeah.
Okay, the fencing 51,000. I've included that in the current year as being brought forward from last year. So that should be complete. So I don't see a need to put a budget in for next year.
There's more than enough there, I would have thought.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Club Spark gates. It's going to be 500 was the original budget. It's going to be 700 with the what I talked about earlier on the budget monitoring, and for the maintenance contract and the Netcode subscription, that's going to be 550 odd pounds. So I put £600 in for that. If everybody's happy with that.
I think that needs to be there. Yes.
Yeah. It does. Yeah. Okay. The sinking fund for Langley tennis courts. The WLTA suggests £1,200 per court. So that's been added again as 2,400.
Yeah.
Okay, Llanderu Puffin, that's been done now, so I don't see there's a need for anything for next year. Disabled parking bays, we did have a budget and we did spend £1,000 a year or so ago. Just whether there's a wish to put anything further in for that type of work.
I think we very, very reluctantly took it out, didn't we? Because we had to scale back so much.
Yeah.
So we very reluctantly took that out.
I would leave as is.
Yeah.
Okay. Underhill Park paths, that was done last year, so I don't think there's any. I'm not aware of anything for next year.
I mean, that is formulated the same. The 45 is partly paths. I'll talk about it later. But yeah. Okay,
I'll leave that as it is then. Enabling Communities grant, that's something that came in a year or so ago, so it's not going to be repeated, I don't think. Skate park grant, next year will be the third year of the revenue grant for the skate park. So we will continue to get some money in from the lottery, but it will have to be spent on certain things. So the net effect then is nil. So I've shown that as nil.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and the two things that are left then are the two new budget proposals. 10,000 for the Petonk pistes at Southend Gardens, and 45,000 for the Underhill pitch improvements. Those budget proposals are all were circulated and are attached to the Teams folder for this meeting.
Yes.
Can I ask what pitch improvements of £45,000 does Underhill now need?
Southend Gardens first, please.
I beg your pardon.
We'll do the Southend Gardens first. I'm sure you're all aware that there are two playing areas for.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chair. I've got to declare a personal interest. I've played petanque once in the last 2 years, but somebody will pick it up. So a personal interest from me, please. But I also am a member of Twinning, and I know the Twinning Society organises matches down there. So whether I need to put in a personal and prejudicial, I'm not sure.
I think a personal declaration would suffice there. But thank you for raising it.
Okay.
So anyway, the proposal is to redo both of the game areas, the pistes, we'll call them pistes.
Pitches.
Well, I beg to differ. It's a petanque piste, according to Councillor Townsend Jones. No, I'm sure she's right. Anyway, the proposal is for them to be to put in two new ones. Have you read this, Pam?
Well, I can only tell you that the old ones are just, it's hysterical that we play on them. They just, they think they've been there for the last 400 years, ragged bits of tarmac with grass going up. So if we want to encourage people to come and play, which is what they're trying to do,
They're
we need
not
to give them a decent pitch.
They're not that bad. I used to play on them.
Oh, they are atrocious, absolutely atrocious.
Okay, well, we're not here to debate that. The proposal in front is for is two new ones to be done at a cost of £16,000. In addition to that, they wish to relocate them from their current position, and for it to run down the centre of Southend Gardens. So anyway, I personally have reservations on both these things: A, the cost, and B, the relocating of them, because that green central part is an ideal open space for members of the community, and in particular those families that take their children there and kick around with a ball, etc., etc. So that would be compromised, but there is a comment made that the benefit of relocating them is that it would where is it? Here we are. This would take them further from the road and away from overhanging trees, which pose a danger to users. Now, I don't quite understand that. If there is an issue with the trees, well, we need to get the tree officer down there to have a look, or get Martin Bignell to have a look. And the fact that they're going to be further away from the road, well, there are railings there. It's not exposed to the road. So I'm not quite sure on this. So anyway, anyone else got any comment? Will?
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you put the petanque in the middle of the grass, it sort of changes the dynamic of that space quite a lot. And I think it removes the flexibility of the area, because although, yes, it would be lovely to have them in the middle, I think obviously we have marquees there. People have all sorts of events and sit on the grass. So I think it takes away the flexibility of that area. So I wouldn't be in favour of that, unfortunately. I do think that the current ones I'm sure Councillor Townsend-Jones looked into other locations. I know she looked at Underhill and somewhere else, but I think we could certainly look to put some money towards refurbing the ones that are there. But as it stands, the proposal which currently in front of us, I would not support that, unfortunately. But certainly, if a new proposal came forward for maintenance of the current ones and it was a little bit less money, then yeah, I think it's good to support. Thanks.
Yes.
I
Well, thank
don't think maintenance is the case. I think they need digging up and relaying, which is probably the same price as a new courts. Can we leave it in and have a discussion, informed discussion on it when we come to budget?
Yeah, I don't think we can take this any further than what we've discussed. So we can have a vote on this. And
So I'm sorry, are you saying to take it out of the budget completely?
as it's been presented, Pam, I would turn it down. Yeah.
Can I suggest, Chair, that I go back to Councillor Townsend-Jones and with the views of committee and say that ask if she would like to update the proposal to refurbish the existing places rather than move it.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's very good. Thank you for that, Paul. Yes, we'll do that. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll put it as nil for now, but that's something that could be added back in then. At a later date.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and the other proposal for 25-26 budget, and we're very fortunate to have Councillor Will Thomas here to speak on behalf of it.
Hi. So, if you all remember, there's been a lot of things at Underhill which have not been ideal since it took over. For example, the lighting from the car park to the pitch. A lot of parents have been in touch with a number of not just us as county councillors, but I know a lot of the other community councillors have had representation made to them about the lighting. So myself, Angela and Francesca were looking at trying to fund that lighting via an active travel scheme with Swansea Council, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to be possible now. So in the budget proposed for that is £15,000 for the lighting, which goes from the car park to the 3G pitch. Then there is another £15,000, which is inside this. So it might be good, Paul, if we sort of subheader this, I think, because it does look like quite a scary figure. It is a large amount of money, obviously, but it is three different things. And then the second one, so I'm not sure if anyone's been down to Underhill recently, but you'll see that the contractor did not or has not finished and put the pitch back in the way that Mumbles Rangers wanted. Now, Mumbles Rangers spent a lot of money on their pitch before they knew Underhill was going ahead, the Go Underhill project. And even when they did do that, they were told that the 3G pitch would come to a different point than it actually ended up being. They've obviously can't currently play on their pitch because of drainage and weed and grass and surface issues. So the contractor is having an opportunity to put the land back to a reasonable condition, and that is, as I understand from MCA, that they have up till April or March. They have up till March to do that. So it will be in a reasonable condition. However, Mumbles Rangers want to get it up to a playing standard, which is not just grass. It's good, better drainage, Welsh League standard football pitch, which they've had a quote, and I believe it's just under 30,000. It's about 30,000. So that 15,000 is a proposal for us, MCC, to pay half of that. Now, that is so that would be basically 50% of and that would really be directly to Mumbles Rangers, Paul, rather than Underhill. I'd say it's sort of like 15,000 towards Mumbles Rangers Underhill football pitch. So
Okay.
that's what that heading would be. And then the further amount of money, which is another 15,000, is towards a viewing area. Now, I don't know if you've anyone's been down there to watch the kids or indeed adults playing, but the parents have we've had a lot of complaints, and this is something that definitely should have been done when it was built. So I think anyone designing a new 3G pitch would definitely put in a viewing area, so an area not impeded by the fence, like Swansea University, for example. They've got a barrier waist height bar, and then they've got a tarmac area where parents or spectators can stand uninterrupted view, so not looking through a fence, and they can enjoy the game a lot more. At the moment, if you're looking through the fence, it really messes with your eyes. You can't look too far to the right or left because too much of the fence gets in the way. There's no shelter and there's nowhere to perch on. So there's a lot of parents watching the kids down there every night, standing looking through the fence. Not ideal. So the suggestion is not for tarmac area, because we don't want to do a SUDS application. It's to have I think it's called grasscrete, that stuff that the water just permeates straight through. So we'll move the fence back in between so there's 3 lighting columns. So we move the fence back 3 meters, which would create a viewing area, and that would be a path, so people would be away from the pitch. So that's what that other 15,000 is towards. I haven't got a quote for that yet, but that is I would guess a good chunk towards the cost of that. Pam.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just looking at this. We're giving Underhill 332,000 plus 15,000 plus 97,000 plus 45,000, which in my reckoning comes around £600,000.
Sorry,
Enough is enough.
where's the 300,000 from? What do you mean?
97,000 in a repayment, 45,000 in this grant now. There's a Underhill grant of 332. Is that included in the other one, or is that a separate amount, Paul?
No, that was the actual amount that was paid out in 23-24, which was for the towards the 3G pitch. So that's already been paid. That's not for inclusion in the current next year's budget.
I think it's about time they started standing on their own 2 feet, especially after the way they're treating the rugby club down there. We cannot be constantly giving money to Underhill and not having anything like we can't do well, what do we cross off? Disabled parking bays because we haven't got enough money. That was just £10,000, I think, and now we only give £40,000, £45,000 to Underhill. No, we can't afford to do that, and it's about time they started standing on their own 2 feet.
Okay, so when you say
raise their own money,
right? Okay, so it's suggested, if you listen to what I previously said.
I did attentively.
Okay, so you would have heard that I suggested that it was 50% for the pitch with Mumbles Rangers. So we pay and that's Mumbles Rangers, not, hang on, Pam, hang on. That's Mumbles Rangers, not Go Underhill MCA, okay? So it's
why can't MCA pay the half with Mumbles Rangers because they're on the same patch? Why are we being called in? Why can't they pay it themselves and subsidise themselves and see to it all themselves? There's got to be a time when we say enough is enough and no more.
Right. So you could say that, but then none of these things will happen. So if you want kids, let me just ask you a question, okay? We've paid a lot of money to put a pitch down Underhill. There's kids walking from the car in the dark, from the car up to the pitch, right? Now, MCA say they can't afford to do it and they won't do it. Should we say, okay, you kids are going to walk along in the dark, and if you trip, that's your fault? And yes, you're right, Swansea Council will probably be legally liable because it's their land. But I suppose we funded a pitch. So I think there's a duty of care owed to the
Right,
children.
you're talking to a mum who stood for around 15 years on the side of the football pitch in the, in the pouring rain with the top of bounce and everything else. But the point is,
Just interrupt all the time. You just talk over people. Why didn't you just wait?
Well, obviously I didn't. Obviously, I thought you'd finished and made your point. Otherwise, I would have interrupted. And obviously, it's really difficult hearing on this web. So I apologise. I thought you'd finished, Will.
Right. Thank you, Pam.
It's okay.
Carry on.
So, in my opinion, we owe a duty of care to the people using the pitch, and we should do the lighting. I don't think it's Mumbles Rangers' fault that MCA haven't stepped up to the plate, and I totally agree with you. MCA should be paying for it, but the fact is they've said they're not. So what do? Punish? Well, not us punish, but allow Mumbles Rangers to not play on the park, or do we step? No. Or all right. So what are you going to do about it?
We call in the accounts from MCA. Those accounts that they won't let us see, we call in the accounts and we see what money they've got and what they're doing with it. And if they refuse to pay, we make it public that they've got loads of money stashed away and they're refusing to pay it, and ask them where have they put all the money that we've paid them. Have we had accounts from MCA at all yet? Have we seen their accounts?
No, we haven't had them yet. And look, if that comes back in the meantime and we can prove that, then obviously things change then. But at this point...
Can I ask for how long we've been asking MCA to show us their accounts, which they are obliged to do? Is it 2 years now?
Yeah, well, we're not in the... Excuse me, we're not in a position to answer your question there, whether it's Will, Francesca or myself.
I'm sorry, Chair. Will asked, did I have an alternative to handing over the money? My alternative is we look at their accounts and we find out what money they've got and where they've stashed it, and why can't they pay it off? That was my answering Will's question. Sorry, Chair.
What is being determined here is a proposal for next year's budget. Now you have the opportunity to vote against it. Now, it's very nice you telling us what we already know. Is that
that's not very nice.
They've been slow in coming forward with disclosure of their accounts. Now, we can't do anything about that at this meeting. What we're discussing is facing a responsibility that MCC has by the provision of, it's a duty of care under health and safety to provide lighting. Now, it's a bit of the, it should have been done at the beginning. There is no question of that. But, hindsight is a great thing, but it wasn't. So,
sorry, Chair, can I just say, if we looked at it in 3 separate things like Will suggested, which I think, what I was going to suggest is with the lighting, let's not forget, like my children don't play there, they play elsewhere. But for me, if I'm taking the little ones, so let's not just be too focused on the sporting aspect. There are loads of dog walkers that we've been contacted about saying it's really dark, but they use that path. So I don't want to be too focused on it is, I can understand Pam's concerns. I get that. I think we all are on the same page on that. However, let's not be too driven that it's MCA as well. That is the users of that. It is the wider public.
Yeah, and it's the community that benefits from this, and us having a beef with MCA is the community that's missing out.
Yeah,
as Will has said, we mustn't lose sight of the fact that why we've invested in Underhill. It was a long overdue. It should have been done a long time ago. But anyway. What's been done so far is good, but it's like a lot of things, that there is an ongoing improvement at a cost. I think the proposal, if we're in a position to do it, Paul, is to break it down into the 3, and then we can determine the 3 individually by way of a vote when we've finished. I think that would be, helpful. So,
To read them out to what they were.
Yes, there's the lighting. I've got it here. Actually.
So yeah, it's 15,000 for lighting from the car park to the pitch, 15,000 to which would be a 50% contribution to pitch improvements for Mumbles Rangers, and the other one is 15,000 towards a viewing area at the side of the 3G pitch.
So will that be broken down when we present it to full council?
I'm sure Paul will.
Oh yes, it'll be done in 3 parts at full council, Pam.
Yeah. And what I'll do is I'll split this into 3 different proposals, and when we get, there's a budget scrutiny meeting after December council. I think it's the day after December council, where we'll go through presenting each proposal. So I'll split this into 3 proposals, which can be discussed separately.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. I think that's the way forward. It would be helpful. I understand what you're saying, Pam, but at the end of the day, let's not lose sight. This is a community project. It's for the community. A lot of the community use it. A lot of people coming into the area as well use it that may not be so familiar, and all of a sudden, the place is pitch black. There is a duty here. So personally, I would certainly be in favour of the lighting. As far as the pitch goes, again, this is a community facility, and we ought to be endeavouring to enable those that use that pitch to attain the highest standard that they can. And currently, that's not available to them. Therefore, they're having to play at Ashley Road. And, that to me is shocking. So an investment of £15,000 on the pitch, to my mind, if it were to bring it back to Underhill, the team, I think that would be money well spent, as long as it's explained in the proper way. The matter of the stand, well, I find that's
Not stand, sorry.
the viewing area. The viewing area. It's most unfortunate. Why it was never considered when it was put up, I'll never know. But we are where we are. But anyway, do we need to take a vote on this tonight, Paul, or?
Yes, yeah. If we can decide if the committee wants to approve it, then it'll go forward to the budget set in council at the end of January.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can I suggest then we'll have a vote individually with the view that it goes to full council for ratification. So it's just our personal view at the moment. So the first one, the provision £15,000 for the lighting. Those in favour? You make sure it's in bar 3. Yeah. Okay. So lighting. Are you against or abstaining, Pam?
I'm against. How did you say against?
You're against.
I'm against.
Thank you. And then the other one for.
Sorry, Chair. What was the vote there? I can't see what happened in the room. Was it in favour?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, the next bit is Mumbles Rangers pitch.
Yeah.
Not just the pitch.
When the next one, the pitch, is presented at full council, for clarification, it should be highlighted that it's the Mumbles Rangers. It's not the hub. It's slightly different with the lighting because there is a hub in the building, so you don't necessarily have to be playing sport. But with a pitch, you have to be playing sport. So it's for the Mumbles Rangers to enable them to use the pitch in their community instead of having to play at Ashley Road. So it's the same sum of money. It's £15,000, and we'll have a vote on it. Those in favour? Okay. And the one with regards to the 3G,
Did you ask for a vote against, Chair?
have you voted against, Pam?
I'm voting against it. It's not our duty to pay it.
Oh, it's voted against it, so it's a 3-1. Sorry, I was predicting then. I was predicting. Right. The spectating area with regard to the 3G pitch, eloquently presented by Councillor Thomas. I think we, again, it's an understanding of why we're coming forward with this. And that is the same sum of money, £15,000, to enable the 3G pitch to be used in a proper way by the spectators and the families for the community. So those in favour, those against, Pam's against. Okay.
Chair, is it possible that this committee can put forward a recommendation saying something about how getting the accounts off MCA? Is there some way we could word it where it goes to full council as a recommendation that we just do something about it? I don't know how it would be worded.
I think we'll bring the RFO in on that, please.
Thanks, Chair. It's something Kerry's already doing as clerk. She has taken legal advice on it. Council has agreed a couple of months back, I think, that that we are to pursue getting all the information that's included in the grant agreement off MCA. And I know it's something that Kerry is pursuing quite vigorously.
Yeah.
With respect, she's been pursuing this for about the last 6 months, and it's not her fault that it doesn't come to any fruition. I know the legal side we put into place about 3 months ago, but we just, anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Okay, Pam, we understand where you're coming from. I'd just like to put something else in the frame here. A few years ago, we gave the Scout Hut off Queen's Road a substantial grant. Not only was it to enable the Scouts to use the facility, but also it could be put to some community use. So the grant was given over a period of 3 years. So I think that was for around, can you remember how much it was, Paul?
I think in total it was about 50,000 over three different grants.
Yeah, it was quite a shock. It was a shocker. So, it's not as if this hasn't been done before, these sums of money, Pam. So it's important that the community aren't held responsible for the management of Underhill. I think that's important.
I would have thought that quite the opposite. Because we're putting all this money in as a community council, we should have a great deal to do with the management of MCA. But that's nothing that we can solve here. Sorry, let's move on. We're getting nowhere with this, Chair.
Yeah, well, anyway, we've done that one. What's next, Paul?
Okay, can we just the total of the budget now is 166,600. So can we vote that that is the budget that this committee wishes to recommend to council in January?
Yep.
Happy with that? Yeah. Yes.
Okay then, thanks.
Is that it now?
That's it for the budget.
That's it for the budget. I think that's everything now.
There's one more, Chair. It's unless it's been covered elsewhere, but there was exercise equipment on West Cross Seafront. We've covered that already.
We've covered it.
We haven't covered that.
Sorry, you're quite right. I've had all the information from you, Paul, and the pictorials, and it looks very good. And we did speak briefly earlier before the start of the meeting. I think the sum total for the 3 pieces of equipment is somewhere about £4,700.
£4,051.
1,051. So we have an allocation of £5,000, which has been agreed, and with a proviso, if there was any sums left over that would go into the contingency. I'll put it to a vote. I think we should vote.
May I ask, Chair, do you mean full council contingency or this committee's contingency? Because if there's an underspend there, we could via it to pay for the overspend on the fund days.
No, it would go back into the council's contingency. There isn't an individual committee contingency, just.
Okay, thank you.
No. So of course, the issue you weren't here earlier, Pam, the equipment proposed, it's in the Teams folder, shows you the pictorials of it. Looks very good. And the price. So I think we can, only problem is they haven't got any of the equipment available, and it won't be available until sometime in January.
Okay.
I don't see that being a problem.
Nope.
So I think we'll take a vote on this one, Paul, if we can.
Yeah, I think what you need to vote on is a recommendation to council that the 3 items are purchased at a cost of £4,051.
Okay.
Yeah, I think did that take into account the installation?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, delivery, installation, and purchase.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay. Are you all happy with that?
Yeah.
That's unanimous, Paul. Ian.
Okay, thank you.
Lovely.
Shall I stop recording, Chair?
Stop recording and.
Sorry, just one thing, Chair. Is there an intention of the committee to meet in December?
No, we've done the budget.
It doesn't need to, because you've agreed your budget now.
Yeah, I suppose, Chair, that one thing, depending on what Carrie comes back with, maybe we could just chat about it on email or something.
Yeah, I can do. I'll circulate that round.
Yeah.
Well, Chair, the next date with the 15th of January. Can I stop recording now, Chair?
Yes.
Can I just have a quick word before we?
Yeah. Paul, can you stay?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no problem.
I'm just trying to.
Ian, down there, I just checked. All of your emails